Ukrainian forces are successfully counterattacking in parts of the Oleksandrivka area. The Russian army is trying to push into the Dnipropetrovsk region but can't advance or hold ground. Denis Bobkov, senior officer of the communications department of the 37th Separate Marine Brigade, stated this on Espreso TV. The Oleksandrivka area is where the Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions meet. Our brigade controls towns and surrounding areas where the Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions connect. And in some parts of Donetsk itself, Russia's main goal is to shift the fighting into the Dnipropetrovsk region. This is very important to them because it could impact both Ukrainians and Russians psychologically, Bobkov noted. Denis Bobkov, a senior officer from the 37th Separate Marine Brigade's communications department, mentioned that sometimes Russian forces do manage to get into towns in the Dnipropetrovsk region that are close to Donetsk. In some areas, the Russian army fled the battlefield. But these invaders don't stay long. He stressed, "We have everything we need to stop them, destroying their infantry groups that try to get into Dnipropetrovsk settlements. We're doing everything we possibly can, and even more. We've had successful counterattacks in some parts of the front." The spokesperson for the South Defense Forces, Vladislav Voloshin, dismissed rumors about the Russian military capturing territories in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions. He confirmed that the situation remains tense, but no settlements have been lost. The information about territories captured by the enemy in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions is not true. Indeed, there is tension in the Oleksandrivsk, Hulyapol and Kharkiv directions. Over the past day, there have been nearly 50 combat clashes with the enemy. However, these settlements remain out of Russian control, Voloshin emphasized. Some areas are still in a tense situation. For example, fierce battles are ongoing in Pavlivka, where the Ukrainian brigade is heroically holding the defense. Fighting is also taking place in Plavny, which are in the grey zone. The settlement of Uspenivka has been subjected to enemy fire, but the struggle for its control continues. Usually in the context of hostilities, there appear local territories that are in the grey zone and are subject to attacks from both sides. In this context, it is important to distinguish between the grey zone and areas that are genuinely captured by the opponent and to monitor the situation in these areas more closely to prevent possible consequences. Russian occupiers continue to attack Dnipropetrovsk region, particularly energy infrastructure facilities. This was reported on Telegram by the head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council, Mykola Lukashuk. He urged residents of the region's settlements to charge their gadgets and power banks and to stock up on a small amount of water in case of interruptions.
The spokesperson for the Southern Defense Forces, Vladislav Voloshin, refuted information about enemy captures of territories in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions. According to him, the situation on the corresponding directions remains tense, but control over populated areas has not been lost. The information about territories captured by the enemy in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions does not correspond to reality. Indeed, the situation on the Oleksandrivsk, Hulyapolsk and Orikivsky directions is quite tense. In the past day, almost 50 clashes with the enemy have been recorded. But the populated areas mentioned in the report are not under Russian control, Voloshin assured. In the Pavlivka area, fierce fighting continues. One of the Ukrainian heroic brigades is holding the line, while in the Plavny area fighting is ongoing, which is described as a grey zone. In their actions there are signs of criminal offenses, provided for by art. 345 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine, threats or violence against a law enforcement officer, and art. 194 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine, intentional destruction or damage to property. The corresponding reports have been sent to the National Police, Voloshin said. In the Primorsk area, the occupiers, using the former Kakhovka reservoir, are trying to penetrate the rear of Ukrainian positions through dense reeds and vegetation several meters tall, but the defense forces are destroying them. In the area of the settlement of Espreso, the enemy, by artillery fire, destroyed several positions, so our defenders had to withdraw deeper into the defense, but fights for the populated areas do not stop, Voloshin noted. In the past day in the south, the enemy lost more than 200 personnel, Voloshin summed up. He also noted that Russian forces have been trying to take advantage of the recent dense fogs in the Zaporizhzhia region to infiltrate Ukrainian positions, bypassing fortifications. However, Ukrainian troops are continuously conducting search and strike operations in these sectors, neutralizing enemy sabotage groups. Military expert, retired naval colonel of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Vladislav Seleznyov said that today, the main focus is on Pokrovsk, Myrnohrad, and Kupiansk. At the same time, the Russian army has achieved certain territorial gains and is advancing along the tri-border area of Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, and Zaporizhzhia regions. A few days ago, I spoke with the spokesman of the Southern Defense Forces of Ukraine, Colonel Vladislav Voloshin, and he said that the situation is most challenging in eastern Zaporizhzhia. The enemy is advancing there, and fierce fighting rages on, the expert said. In terms of percentages, this sector of the front accounts for 13% of all enemy assault operations. Over the past week, up to 40% of the territory in this area, measured in square kilometers, has come under Russian control. So indeed, the enemy is making advances there. Despite intense fighting in the Pokrovsk area, the pace of Russian progress there is significantly slower than in eastern Zaporizhzhia, a region, the military expert notes, that receives little media coverage. It is absolutely crucial for us to stabilize the situation in this sector of the front, because the enemy advances here threaten not only the left flank of our southern Zaporizhzhia defenders but also those in the Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad areas. The enemy aims to seize control of key supply routes, since the stability of logistics directly determines the resilience of our defense, Seleznyov says.